The issue is that there is a huge amount of spirits in the spirit world who have a vested interest in you not following the truth or practicing it. Right? Their vested interest is that if you practice the truth and your light shines to others, what will happen is that they will lose their level of influence and control over the earth. And it's their influence and control over the earth which causes them to actually want to continue the damage that they're doing to the earth and to people on it. They feel they get enjoyment from it. Does that make sense? They feel they get enjoyment from it. And because of that, they feel they enjoy this process. Any person who starts standing up for truth and love is going to start to receive some kind of attacks from the spirit world. Does that make sense? Now, if we can remember that in all of our interactions with each other and with others, we will own our own emotions about it. We will actually feel our own emotions about this feeling of attack. If we don't do that, we will feel like attacking in return, or reviling in return, as the Bible would say, right? So when somebody attacks you, often you will feel like you want to attack in return. And my suggestion is that is the time inside of yourself to really own your emotions. Because if you don't own your emotions in that particular situation, you are placing yourself in a position where these groups of spirits who are still in the spirit world in these very dark places can now influence you greatly in your own progression towards God. And remember, here on earth, we can actually degrade our condition quite rapidly. And by the way, you can degrade your condition in the spirit world as well. Where you think if you arrive in the spirit world in a space where you're angry and resentful towards others, and all of a sudden you've got carte blanche to do something to somebody on earth that they don't even know about, you're going to be highly driven to harm that person on earth and do whatever is at your disposal to harm them. And obviously that is going to degrade your condition even further. So there are a whole group of spirits in the spirit world who still as yet have not stopped their evil acts. Right. Now, if you can understand that from a spiritual perspective, that all we need do is act in harmony with truth and love and feel all of our own emotions. So those three things, humility, truth and love, those three things I keep saying all the time, if you focus on that, these spirits cannot influence you negative in any long-term way. But as soon as you deny the expression of any of those things, truth, love, or owning all of your own emotions, humility, as soon as you deny that, you are now leaving yourself open to the external control. By the way, external control of anyone, someone on earth or in the spirit world. Does everyone follow that? So my suggestion is, I am aware right at the moment many of you are under a lot of external pressure. That external pressure is not just because of your own emotional condition. The external pressure is because there is a group of spirits in the spirit world that are very, very opposed to anything like this occurring on the earth. And they will do anything they possibly can to influence you or others to harm you. Now, understand that this also is okay, because you will work through your emotions through this process. Does that, everyone follows that? It's not going to be a harmful thing to you in the long run. But if you can understand that every time you skip into this place of anger and resentment, you are now just harming yourself and attracting anyone else in that same state straight to you. Now, the reason why I bring up this is because my spirit friends from 2,000 years ago that we talked to last week had done this for 2,000 years. And we can easily do this for a long period of time if we're not careful, where we do not own our own emotions and justify our anger, resentment and other types of emotions towards another person for whatever they have done. whether they did it in error or in truth. It doesn't really matter whether they did it in error or in truth. As soon as I get into this space, I am now leaving myself wide open. Now, one of the things that affect myself and Mary a lot is that we worry a lot, which is an emotion we need to work our way through, about our personal safety when we're in these situations. Because we do get a lot of these projected anger, and some of it does become quite violent in nature. Even though the person may not be physically violent, they certainly would prefer to be if they could get away with it. And so what is happening for us is we're having to deal with these fears and other emotions within us that these things trigger. But for yourselves, if you can do the same thing, you don't need to attack a person in return. We just need to own our own emotions. Owning your own emotions, remember I said here with the law of desire, free will and cause, effect and law of attraction, all these laws, owning your own emotions is an act of love towards yourself. It is one way, in fact it is almost the best way, aside from receiving divine love, it is the best way to love yourself. Does that make sense? Now obviously longing to God for divine love is the ultimately best way to love yourself. And that is going to actually help you with every other thing. But obviously you can't feel God's love entering you unless you are actually owning and feeling all of your own emotions. So that's why it's such an important factor.